Orioles fans' experiences so far this year has mostly been to sit down and see your favorite team get
And I even bought season tickets for the Orioles, since that's what guys who can't satisfy women do.
It all makes sense now. The Orioles were a pretty common division-winning pick heading into the season, and for good reason, but in hindsight, I think at least it feels like we vastly underestimated how weak their pitching staff is, especially their starting pitching, but the hitting has also been a lot weaker than advertised, and it's obviously very early, but this team has been a wreck so far. Let's go through it. Let's start with their series against the Reds. Cedric Mullins kicks things off with a home run for an early lead, but the Orioles quickly showed why their ERA is second to last in all of baseball. Elly De La Cruz smacks a 3-run home run, then the very next inning, Yeimer Candelario and Matt McClain go deep. Every Reds home run in this game was to center field. I guess their strategy was to avoid the Great Wall of Camden and left. Shit, it worked. They win 8-3, but the Orioles bounce right back in game 2. But this is also something you'll see a trend of lately with the Orioles. The Orioles haven't been good, but they're not the White Sox. They're not the Rockies. So they will still have games like this where Cedric Mullins and Gunnar Henderson go back-to-back to start the game. And they went down again, but the offense had a good day, surprisingly tagging Hunter Green around, someone who's been arguably the best pitcher in baseball for a year now, for the loss. So Orioles win 9-5 with a chance to win the series on Easter Sunday. Yeah, that didn't happen, though. They could not have been any less eager to honor the resurrection of Christ. They gave up 24 runs on 25 hits. If Leonardo DiCaprio was a Reds fan, he isn't anymore. That's too big a number for him. It began with 57-year-old Charlie Morton pitching exactly how you'd think a 57-year-old would pitch. He gets banged for 7 runs, and it just did not stop after that. Clearly, 24-2. Then off to Washington, D.C. to get their asses kicked by the Nationals in another blowout. Although after losing 24-2, 7-0 seems like a good game. And I mean, hey, it is progress, but when losing 7-0 is actual progress just because you didn't lose 24-2, that shows just about how it's been going for the Orioles. By this logic, though, losing by 1 run, which is what they did the next night, is basically a win at this point. Orioles get wooded up by James Wood. He goes deep. Nats jump ahead 3-0, but the O's showed fight, coming all the way back to tie the game until the Nats immediately took the lead right back to win the game and series, but they didn't get a sweep. The Orioles, who were more than due for a win, finally get a win, just barely holding on. The game ends with the tying run at third base. Big win, a needed win, but this is still a team full of underperforming players and almost non-existent pitching staff, especially with the starting rotation, and a 10-14 record. And with that, the boys rolled into Detroit and immediately got a gift, the rain. It stalled their loss for another 24 hours, only for them to lose 2 games in 1 day instead, so it only ended worse. The baseball gods are just trolling Baltimore at this point. The Orioles starter for this game, Brandon Young, is a man I'm just finding out exists, and he walks 5 batters. On brand, I guess, and this game wasn't a blowout at all. The Orioles were in it the whole way, and this should be expected at this point, come up just short in the end. Close game, but don't worry, the blowouts were for the next 2 games. 57-year-old Charlie Morton takes the ball for the second game of the doubleheader. He comes in during the second inning and yet again pitches exactly the way you'd think a 57-year-old would. He saw what Brandon Young did hours earlier and said, I'm gonna do that too. 5 walks in less than 4 innings of work. Riley Green takes him deep. Tigers go off for 6 runs, and Morton ended this game with an ERA over 10 and a record of 0-6. At this point, Charlie Morton feels like a senile old person in a nursing home they just won't let die. Okay, that got grim quick, but you get what I'm trying to say. Morton's had a long, good career, and the more he goes, the tougher it is to see. So you lose 2 times in a day. Great, now time to face Tarek Skubal. Good luck. Skubal strikes out 11 Orioles in the series finale, 6 shutout innings. The Tigers bullpen keeps it that way. Meanwhile, Dean Kramer gives up 5 runs. He also takes notes from Young and Morton by walking 4 hitters. They need to stop doing that. Tigers blow Baltimore out of the water to get the clean sweep. Next up, back home to face the Yankees, where things got interesting in multiple ways because it showed what the Orioles are capable of, but also what they're capable of doing at their absolute worst. Game 1 was a solid win. The Orioles were actually out-hit by the Yankees, but the Oriole pitching staff, one that's struggled all year, hangs on for the 1-run win. Felix Bautista single-handedly ending racism. I mean, wow, okay, maybe this is a trend in the right direction. It would have seemed like it if they didn't give up 2 touchdowns the next night. Roger Clemens must have randomly appeared to pump the boys up.
Crack it! Let's bean some Orioles!
Man, Family Guy really has something against the Orioles in the latest season. Anyway, the game opens with 3 straight home runs. Trent Grisham, Aaron Judge, then Sid from Toy Story. Back to back to back before Sid from Toy Story goes deep again his next at-bat. Yankees go up 12-0 and put up 15 on the night. Chris Paul, it's a big three-pointer to cut the deficit to 47. And all this happens just for Baltimore to play like they did in Game 1 for Game 3. Baseball is so random. Yankees hit another couple home runs, including another by Judge, but after a 4-run second inning, they hold on to another 1-run win to win the series. A weird series. They win it, but couldn't have gotten their doors blown off any harder in Game 2. So even though they won the series, it feels more like a series split. There was also some beef in Game 3 after Heston Kjerstad slid into second base and Pablo Lopez landed on his head. Kjerstad got up and was like, I'm not into that, bro. He's like, first off, Pride Month isn't for another month, and even if it was, I'm not into that. Then Lopez was like, whoa, do you hate the gays? And what I hated about this was Anthony Volpe. I hate this. He acts like he's trying to keep the peace here, but it's so fake. He's obviously trying to egg Kjerstad on. Like, hey, buddy, hey, you good? He did this last year, too, against the Royals in the playoffs. He has that fake grin on his face. I'd rather him straight up try to punch Kjerstad in the face than do this. I'm so serious. The worst thing anyone can be, in my opinion, is fake. But that seems to be Volpe's playbook here when any sort of tensions run high on the field. Either way, it didn't matter. Orioles win, and they also win on Friday with the other team Volpe did this against, the Royals, in town. Now, this Orioles pitching staff has a collective 5.5 ERA, and you gotta wonder how this ends. The offense is not what I'm too worried about. I don't think that should be what most people are worried about. It's still early. Guys like Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman should get hot. But when your best pitcher has been a 35-year-old rookie, you know it's a problem. Now, you could point out they no longer have Corbin Burns, someone who was their best starter last year, but that's not a valid argument at this point. The Orioles did offer him a lot of money. He just preferred Arizona, and he hasn't really been good to start his big contract with them to add on to the big regressions he's been having for years now. So it's just a culmination of what's been building for this Orioles team for a while. They have a lot of young, exciting hitters, and even some of their bullpen pieces are really promising, but the rotation is a complete disaster. Now, it's not like the Orioles were ever known for some insane starting rotation, even when they were good years back, like before this current core. Like, I'm talking back when Manny Machado was on the team. The Orioles seem to have a trend. When they're good, the rotation is the weakest part of the team, while the offense and bullpen carry. A team built like that can work, in theory, and in reality, we've seen it, but not to this extent. There is no Doctor Strange / Doctor Doom multiverse where the current Baltimore Orioles rotation, the way they've been performing, makes the playoffs. It's just been beyond abysmal. Add that to an underwhelming offense overall so far, and you have a last place Orioles team in a division many picked them to be first in. And this Royals series, one that began promising, ended in the same frustrating way it's been going most of the year. After his awful outing in Detroit, Dean Kramer bounces back with a 7 shutout inning start against the Royals. Royals just did nothing in this game. Meanwhile, Ryan O'Hearn, who's all of a sudden becoming Cal Ripken for some reason, goes deep against the team he played for 5 years before becoming an Oriole a few years ago. Nice, easy 3-0 Orioles win. That's 2 in a row. Like, okay, all right, maybe this means something. Maybe they're back, or at least getting on the right track, only to resort to a boob job on Saturday. Chris Bubik and the Royals bullpen shut their offense down. Then a home run derby took place for the series finale on Star Wars Day. The force was more than strong with every bat on Sunday. It's like every pitcher just said, go knock yourself out, I don't care. 11 home runs combined between both sides. Jackson Holliday, who had 2 home runs heading into the series, hits 2 in this game. Cedric Mullins and Ryan O'Hearn both hit their 7th home runs of the season. The Orioles offense had been pretty underwhelming up to this point, so it sure is great to see them break this drought of not hitting to finally come out swinging and put up a ton of runs, and the pitching also gave up 11 runs. Yeah, I forgot that was a big problem for a second. The Mandalorian sat behind home plate for this game, one that started off pretty promising, only for it to end in total predictable disappointment, kind of like his show. Royals go off for 7 home runs, a franchise record, 3 of those home runs being 3 different players' first of the year. If there was ever a day for a Royals or Orioles player to hit their first home runs of 2025, it was here. The ball was just flying. The Royals haven't even been a home run hitting team at all either. They were dead last in home runs heading into this game before hitting, yes, a franchise record of 7 home runs. They've never done that before, and they do it when they have the least amount of home runs in baseball. Like Jeff Passan said, baseball will never make sense. And like Unicorn Goat 08 said, my wife hates me. And like I said, join my Discord server to connect with other fans. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Love you. Bye.